if it's one person I think keep Kirby Smart up all night,
it's him.
It's Nick Saban, because I think Nick Saban lives rent-free
in his head.
Kirby Smart's mind. Especially, I think Kirby might be 0-4 against. I think he's 0-4 or 0-3 against Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so especially we see the SEC Championship game. We see the game that transpired last year.
Mm-hmm. It's burning inside of him. He needs it. He needs it.
He needs it, and he wants it bad, because there's only been one assistant
that's
beaten Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
One. That was Jimbo Fisher this year, Texas A&M. The only one out of all those people Nick Saban has had under his wings. It's only been one.
Because all of those guys are either at SEC schools, major ACC schools, or some other Power 5
and are great coaches.
And are great coaches. Yeah. So for only one in the history of all those men that he's had on his staff, that is bananas. Just to even say that, that's crazy.
Yeah. But Kirby, you could tell his demeanor, his mindset, he wants it, and he's going to have those guys focused. Now, the only thing is that you got a Bryce Young over there who set an SEC record the last time they played against this Georgia defense, who was the best in the country.
I guarantee you Alabama's game plan won't be this coming Monday what it was against Cincinnati. I guarantee you that.
Nope. Nope.
I guarantee keep forgetting. Bryce Young is getting cut loose.
They have two solid tight ends, the two in Billingsley. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I mentioned Slade Bolden. He did well. Jamison Williams did well in the semifinals game. But Jamison Williams took the top off the defense the last time they played.
Without a question.
So don't think that's not in the back of the mind of UGA's defense.
For sure.
That this man took the top off. But look for a guy like Ja'Cory Brooks to may have a get behind the defense and make a big explosive catch or a big explosive touchdown. Mm-hmm. There's all kind of ways this Alabama team could go. And then you look at Bill O'Brien, their offensive coordinator. He's a guy who coaches it in the National Football League.
He wants another head job.
Yeah, he was a head coach in Houston. He coached under the great one, the GOAT in the NFL.
Yeah, we don't even have to say his name.
Yeah, he coached under the great one, Mr. Belichick. Mm-hmm. So he knows that he can't come with that same game plan. Exactly. And that's the beauty about it. Like when you look at Nick Saban's staff and how it's put together, these are guys who have been in high positions, not only in college, but in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. So you talk about game planning, they're going to know how to game plan. But if you're Georgia, I think one guy they have to get involved offensively. I think that's George Pickens. Listen, George Pickens had a play in the run game against Michigan, where I don't know, he was talking to somebody on the sideline. I guess they were saying something he didn't like, and he looked at the DB in the run game and knocked the DB on his ass, and then turned around at the sideline and did like this.
Yeah, I seen that.
They got to get him. They got to get him involved. I do think Brock Bowers is a guy they got to continue to get involved. Sure. He had a nice game against Alabama the first time. He had a touchdown drop too, but he had a nice game against Alabama the first time. But one of the things I noticed about Bama period, dating all the way back when Kyle Pitts was there at the University of Florida, they struggled with tight ends like that. Mm-hmm. You look at Watermeyer in Texas A&M. He had a good game against Alabama this year and last year. Mm-hmm. So then you have a guy like Brock Bowers who had a decent game in the SEC Championship game. He's a guy that Georgia can take advantage of when it comes to the Alabama defense, and they must do so.
They're going to have to. And I wouldn't be surprised if the nickel for Alabama, number 14, the light-skinned
Branch,
guy, he reminds me a lot of Tyrann Mathieu. His plays aren't as home runish, but as far as doing his job and being consistently around the ball, he reminds me a lot of him. I think the key for Georgia will be the game has to be close so they can stay true to their run game.
Yep.
I don't think, as well as Stetson Bennett played last week, I don't think Kirby Smart and that staff wants to just unleash him like Alabama does Bryce Young. So in order for them to get that three-headed monster involved, the game has to be close. It can't get out of hand like it did, and they try to get into a shootout, because if they try to get into a shootout with Alabama, it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? So Georgia has to keep it close, and that front seven of Georgia, they
got to be dominant. They got
to be dominant. And Bryce Young, the times he was running for his life against Georgia a couple weeks ago, the few amount of times that it was, that has to be majority of the game come Monday night if they want to have a chance. And it's possible because that D-line is real, you know. And also Georgia's secondary, how they had 2 picks the other night. They have to step up big. They can't let those guys take the top off like they did a couple weeks ago in Atlanta.
And I also think, man, I think a key play in that game, the first matchup, SEC Championship game, is when John Mechie III was matched up in the slot on a on a safety. You can't do that. You can't do that against Alabama receivers. And I think they were backed up. Alabama was backed up, and I think they had just got a penalty on offense as well. So they were behind the sticks, even though it may have been first down. They were still behind the sticks.
Right.
I believe that was still first down, but John Mechie caught a slot fade, and next thing you know, they in business.
Right.
And you had them backed up.
Right.
So things like that, little stuff like that can't transpire. You can't let Jamison Williams, you be double teaming him and hit you with a stutter go when he get over the top of both guys. Then you can't let him catch an in cut dig route and take it to the house.
Go 60.
Yeah. Not if you want a chance to win a national championship. And let me tell you, when we used to be I used to be in high school, right? We played a regular season in basketball, and then the state tournament came, right? Region tournament, state tournament came. Listen, all the nonsense was knocked off when the region tournament and state tournament came. Charges better have been taken. Only a certain amount of people better be shooting this trying to score the basketball. Right. Basically, everybody better know their roles. People better be diving on the floor for balls, that whole ordeal.
The margin of error.
When it comes to this game, everything better be on the line. Shouldn't be told, hey, you got to go hard on this play. Shouldn't be none of that. National championship, Coty.
And what a way to end the season, and especially for Georgia, like they just embarrassed y'all a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Like, this is who you should want to play, because we have no questions about y'all against anybody else. We know y'all dominate everybody else y'all play. This is the game we need y'all to show up for. And I think it'll be a better game than it was in Atlanta not so long ago. But I still have to go with Alabama. I would like to see Georgia win. I would like to see Georgia win, but it's hard to go against Alabama, man. They've been there so many times, and
I got to see what's the over/under for this game, because we got what's the over/under for this one?
It probably hasn't even been announced yet.
Yeah, it might not have. But I think right now, I think Georgia is favored by 3 at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah, but I gotta ask you before we close this thing out, who you got in this one?
I got Alabama.
You got Bama.
I got Bama.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. It's hard, when you consistent like Saban is and Bama, it's hard to bet against them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save mine. We doing a
I would like
pregame show.
Georgia. I would like to see Georgia and Kirby Smart get one, but but they have the roster to do it. They have to.
They gotta want it more. They gotta want it more than Bama does. They gotta want it more than Bama does on Monday.
And they have to make the plays that are there.
Yep.
They have to make the plays that are there on both sides of the ball.